Happy Friday, repurposers. Today, I want to talk about the four main reasons that we get stuck. Okay, so first, a reminder the next week, I am teaching a participatory interactive workshop on getting unstuck. I will not record it, and I'm doing it twice because of that reason, but you only have to come once. So check it out. I'll put the link in the post, and also you can always find my events on my website, repurposeyourpurpose.com. All right, so let me jump into the topic today, or today's topic, because as you know, I've been doing this work for a long time, and I often work with people who feel stuck, and I felt stuck, in my life, and I think we periodically might have that feeling. And over time, I've identified four main what I call buckets of what keeps us stuck. So today I really want to share a little bit about each one of these big buckets and give you a tiny little tip to get you started on your path to being unstuck. Excuse me. All right. Number one, the past. The past. All right. So you try to think about what you want to do. You try to imagine what to do next, and thoughts about bad things that happened at your last job, the last time you tried something, come back to you. Sounds familiar? I see it a lot with clients that experience pain. Something painful happened, maybe the last job. And when I ask them, what would you like to do next? Right? They don't realize they start telling me about their pain. Right? It's actually one of my very first experiences with transformative coaching as a client was realizing that. I was really not able to talk about the future without talking about the past, and this coach caught it, and it was like amazing. It completely snapped me out of it. So there's a lot here that we can talk about to heal and move forward from the past. But what I really want to invite you to do is simply to notice when, instead of thinking of all the possibilities out there, instead of letting your imagination create a new possibility, instead of being curious of the people that you haven't met yet, and some of whom would be like a great boss or colleague or client or business partner, you instead find yourself thinking about the past. And if you can, just set the thoughts about the past aside, and open up space for new thoughts about the future. All right, so that's really the first bucket, the past. And, I'm going to talk here about work and business primarily, but this applies to everything else, okay? It's all the same when it comes to these things that get us and keep us stuck. All right, number two, limiting beliefs or conditioning. Okay, this can be about the world or about yourself, about other people. What do I mean by that? These are things we think are true. We think they describe the way we are, or the way the world is, but no, it's just some belief and some conditioning we picked up. All right, so quick examples. Well, for example, something that I think is very common is to believe that if you change careers, you will make less money, right? Well, it depends. I mean, some of the people I work with, they choose to change careers and go from a very lucrative career to something that financially is less lucrative, but that's more aligned with their values, or it gives them other things they desire, right? But I work with clients that have the opposite experience, and I've had both experiences, in my career changes, and they go from making little money to making a lot more money, right? By changing careers. So it really depends what you're leaving and what you're getting yourself into. right? And the conditions of the market and other things. So that would be a belief that a lot of people don't even realize. They feel stuck. They feel that they don't know what to do next, because what they keep thinking is that whatever they do is gonna pay them less, instead of realizing, wait a second, like what's reality here, right? Sometimes the conditioning or the belief is about ourselves. So a lot of people that want to go into business for themselves will say, but I'm not good at sales, I'm not good at marketing, as if it was some sort of, genetic condition they have, right? But I'll tell you a secret. Nobody is good at sales and marketing. Right? Very few people, when they're young, they're like, yes, I wanna, I get excited about selling, I get excited about marketing. Like, a lot of people that go into business for themselves, they just, they just want to do what they want to do with their business. And we all have to learn, we all have to learn. So even if you hear some of the times when I share my stories of how I went from photography to marketing, I mean, like, yeah, marketing, I was definitely not one of those people who's like, I'm good at marketing, I'm gonna do marketing. Um, so things like this, there's a million examples, okay, I can give you. Now, the tricky things for this one, I really, I mean, honestly, my only tip is like, you need to work with somebody to uncover these limiting beliefs or conditioning, because we're essentially blind to them. Okay, to us, it feels like we're describing the way we are, or we're describing the world. Um, even people sometimes, they know their limiting belief. Like, if you've done a lot of therapy or a lot of coaching, you might know. Like, so you might say, yeah, I really, I'm really not that confident, I know, I should speak up, or you kind of know the theory, it's a good idea. um but it still feels real to you, otherwise you wouldn't be stuck, you wouldn't be taking the same action. I don't know if this makes sense, but there's a knowing that's really knowing, and there's a knowing that it's intellectual knowledge, and intellectual knowledge will not shift. It will not shift you in a powerful way. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So we got the past, we got conditioning or limiting beliefs. Number three, understanding how feelings work, your feelings for yourself in real time. So this is a really, really big thing. I should have said misunderstanding keeps you stuck. So understanding get you unstuck. All right. So if you forgive my yeah, I misspoke there. But anyway, a lot of us get stuck because we simply do not know like what to do with some of our feelings, what they even mean. We misunderstand them. Okay. So, for example, we might think that every time we're scared, this is something I used to think. I used to think if I was really anxious or scared, that there was in fact something to be anxious or scared, right? So I wouldn't do those things. Then I sort of, got this idea. Like, a lot of coaching will say, oh, feel the fear and do it anyway, or fear is good, it means that's the direction you should go to, right? And then I had that misunderstanding that every time I have fear, I need to ignore it, or I need to go through with it, right? So any of this stuff where it's like you don't even know what your feelings are really telling you, will keep you stuck, because it means that you're like misreading the map. The feelings are our map, right? And you have your map, I have my map. Nobody can really tell us what our own system is telling us. The system is individual to us. There's a universality to having the system, but then we each have to understand ourselves, right? So once I really understood what fear meant, and in the moment, um I could make better decisions, right? I was now in tune with myself. So this is a big part of my work. It's actually the coaching intensive. If you see it on my website, a lot of it is to understand thoughts and feelings and our experience. So I think it's really key to moving forward and doing whatever you want in life and having wonderful relationships. But here's a tip I'm gonna give you. So I gave you the example of fear, right? So before it was like, no, 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 I'm afraid, so I shouldn't do it. Then it was like, oh, screw the fear, I'm doing it anyway. Now I understand if I have a lot of fear, I'm simply not in a state of mind to make a decision. Just means I'm having some fearful thoughts and I'm not centered. I'm not present, right? So it's not the moment to make decisions. And it's also not the moment to force myself to make decisions. So unless, with the fear example, you are in a, life and death situation, which is beyond me, what to do in those situations, totally beyond this video. When we experience fear, anxiety, any big emotions, my tip is really like, don't just know you're a little bit caught up. If you can relax out of it, like go for a walk, take some breath, anything like that that will relax. Otherwise, just let yourself feel it. It's just feelings, you feel it, it will go through you and you'll be back to your well-being. And when you're more centered again, you got your grounding, then that's the moment to go back and see what makes sense. Okay. So really understanding, so really misunderstanding the nature of our feelings, our own system that will keep us stuck, and understanding it is a big, big way to get unstuck and find our way in life, in career, in business again. Okay. So that was three. So getting stuck from the beginning, the past will keep us stuck. Like thinking about the past instead of thinking about the future, and innocently, right? Not realizing that's what we're doing. Not realizing we have some conditioning or limiting beliefs that we keep having in the way of seeing the world or ourselves for who we are or what the world is, and then misunderstanding the nature of feelings and our own experience. Okay, so 3 of the 4 buckets. Number 4, we get stuck when we don't take action. And I know this might seem very common sense or very silly when I say it, depending on your point of view, but really, how often do you feel you need to feel better? You need to have more of a plan. You need to know more. You need to be better. You need to blah, 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 before you can take action. And when we do that, we don't realize that, in fact, it's exactly because we're not taking action that we're getting more and more stuck. So my tip for this is really consider that often we think we have to we have to have it together way more before we take action than we really need to. Now you know yourself, so experiment with this. And sometimes it's just getting in action, doing it, that will get you unstuck. So for example, if you're not sure what you want to do, you have a lot of stuckness around that conversation, great, get into conversation with other people. Go to events, go to events for industries that you're curious about, or maybe you're not curious about any of them, great, pick one at random. I promise you'll have some insights being around people doing that work and listening to what they talk about. And even events, like there's gatherings, meetups, events, for industry people inside your industry. I bet if you send an email and say, hey, I'm curious, I'm trying to learn, will you be open to a guest, anything like that, they might be more open to you than you think, right? And if they're closed off, well, you learn something new about that industry or about that event organizer, right? So really getting in action is massive. And not getting in action is a big reason why some of us get stuck. All right, so you got the 4 buckets. I hope my little tips give you a little bit, at least a nudge in the right direction of getting unstuck. And if you're intrigued by what we're talking about and my work, you can browse my website. There's videos, there's articles, there's all sorts of things. Repurposeyourpurpose.com to inspire you. But really, I hope you can make it to one of my workshops next week, because I won't be recording them. And I really want to create space with you to, I don't know, maybe get you unstuck. I don't know. You'll have to come and see what emerges. All right. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of the day and happy weekend. I'll see you next week.